Welcome, everyone. This is the Calling All Platforms Tech Podcast. I'm here with Landen Hardy.
Hello.
Caleb.
Hey.
I totally forgot your last name, but we'll go continue
It's
that.
Spendlove.
Spendlove. That's right.
Edit that part out.
Edit that out. And I am Wesley Hardy, and we're here to talk about tech and what normal guys do with it.
I don't know if you could classify us as normal guys, but you know.
We like to think so.
What guys with a normal salary do with it.
Yes.
That.
Average.
But we wanted to talk about maybe some Apple news, some Google news, Microsoft news, and yes, of course, some gaming news, because we got some gamers here. Anyway, let's go ahead and start. Today is October 24th. By the time anyone hears this, it might be later, but it is October 24th, and yes, I am excited because on the 26th, there is a Microsoft show. It's a hardware show, and I'm super stoked for it.
You know, I'm pretty excited for this too, just because of what everything I've heard is obviously going towards a Surface all-in-one, which seems kind of cool.
Yes.
At least to me.
Yes. I was doing a little research looking, and I had a couple things I jotted down. One thing I just thought was interesting because I use it is the Microsoft Band. There's a couple of things that a lot of people are saying. Obviously, they laid off a lot of the workers for the band, but a lot of the workers they didn't really lay off. They just kind of moved over to the HoloLens, and that's another topic. But anyway, the Microsoft Band, the big question is it completely dead? But the big thing with the Microsoft Band, what it was actually Microsoft saying, hey, we want to build a software, and we just needed a platform or something to actually have this on. And so they built the hardware themselves, and they just had it there just so that they can show people, hey, this works, the sensors, the software, all that, and we just want to have someone else make it. And that's one of the big rumors when a lot of people are saying is like, it's not that the Microsoft Band is dead, it's just they're trying to just make the software for someone else to do the hardware. And so
I've been hearing the same thing the past couple weeks, and I like that idea, but at the same time, it's like I don't see a ton of people picking up on. I mean, I hope people do because the band always got really good reviews from what I saw, and what it does. It's a pretty capable device for being a new product that Microsoft has done.
Yeah,
but it's just a matter of OEMs saying, "Okay, let's do it."
it is. But I mean, and another thing to add to that, that's the same thing they actually did with HoloLens. They just wanted to actually, I'm going to kind of segue into that a little, but they only built the HoloLens to show off their software. That was the big thing. Yeah. And so they just kind of did that. And that's another, and obviously that's what they want. They just want to be the software company to push. They don't really want to be the hardware as much anymore. That's where they see where obviously the money is and where they want to go. And I just thought that was really interesting, and so.
I mean, and it makes sense for Microsoft because that's home base for them. That's where they made all their money. That's where they became a household name. Was everybody else is making all this hardware? We're going to give you the same software experience on every piece of hardware that you use, and so it makes a certain amount of sense that that's the direction they want to go with it. It's really funny to me as an Apple guy because that is like. Almost everything that I hate about Microsoft can actually be attributed to Microsoft hardware manufacturers. So it's not Microsoft's fault as much as it is the people making hardware that Microsoft software run on. But I understand that that's definitely what has worked for them in the past really well. They've tried to play the hardware game a couple of times, and it usually just doesn't work out. So that's home base for them. That's turn around and say, look, we're going to demonstrate the capability of this product. And then you guys can make it. And then we have lots of options. There's a lot of stuff to choose from, which is always great as a consumer, having choice. And, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that.
The one thing it made me think of with this whole, them creating software for the band, and it's just like a prototype, for lack of a better word, to showcase the software, it made me think of the Surface line and potentially Surface Phone being something similar to what Google did with the Nexus devices. It was never meant to be a consumer product. I mean, obviously they sold it to anybody that wanted to buy it, but it was meant to be a developer option to help get the ecosystem out there, show what they wanted Android to be, and then now obviously they're getting into the hardware with the Pixel line, but I mean that's how I think of, or that's what it made me think of with the Surface line. If they make a Surface phone, it's potentially going to be just like here's what you can do with our software. Now go and do it. Maybe make 2 or 3 iterations of the phone and then hand it off to whoever wants to make it.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see how that goes because obviously I'm the Microsoft guy here, and that's all I have. But I'm excited. The new CEO and how they're just pushing things forward for Microsoft. I'm just seeing a lot of good things happening, and so I think I'm just excited to see that. So on there. So actually, talking to be brought up the Pixel. I saw the commercial for that, and I thought that was pretty awesome. Did you guys see that commercial for it?
I've seen quite a few commercials. I was actually talking to somebody this weekend. I saw commercials not just during regular daytime TV. I was watching the Cubs game this weekend, and I saw a Pixel commercial during the Cubs game, which there was a ton of people watching that game, and there was that commercial. So obviously Google is pushing the crap out of this phone, which I'm excited for. Obviously, I'm the Google guy, and I bought a Pixel, pre-ordered it, and I have it with me, and I will be doing a review probably next podcast, a full review. This one, I'll just kind of go over it. So far, awesome. Super fast. Just to let everyone know, I came from a Nexus 6, so it's a definite upgrade from the Nexus 6 in most ways. I personally find it a downgrade just because the screen size is a half an inch smaller. I would have preferred 5.7, but that's me.
First world problems.
Exactly, first world problems. Other than that, the phone itself is fantastic. It's super fast. It's really just fun to use. It's easy to use. It's, I think, it's the best Android phone I've ever used, and personally the best phone I've ever used. I've owned a couple iPhones, but I've never owned myself any newer ones. My wife has the 7 Plus, and it's a really good iPhone. But personally, for what I use my phone for, I love the Pixel, and it's just a fantastic phone. The camera on it, holy crap, man. This camera is fantastic.
What's the megapixel on the camera?
It's 12.3 megapixel on the back. Shoots 4K video. Has electronic image stabilization, which a lot of people are kind of iffy about. But from what I've seen, it's really good. And the videos I've done are just kind of, short little things so far, but like everything I've seen online, it's kind of like you can definitely tell that it's not optical image stabilization, but it's definitely the best you can get that's not optical image stabilization.
Well,
and just as good almost in most cases.
For many years, Apple sat on electronic image stabilization as, look guys, it's really good, and it's better than anything else you can fit into a chassis this size. For years it was. Yeah. And, it works. Like, it does a really good job. That's what I've got on my 6S. And it makes a really noticeable difference in the quality of the video.
Oh, yeah,
versus
for sure.
a camera that does not have that kind of software working. And it's great. Now, optical image stabilization is obviously superior, and
True.
I say that mainly because I'm ordering a 7 soon, iPhone 7, and that has it, but, I'm not biased. Okay, I'm biased.
You're biased. Everyone's biased towards their own thing.
I think the real question, have you dropped it in the toilet yet?
I have not, but
okay, good.
I haven't even dropped it yet. I should probably set it down so I don't. But I actually saw a video. Someone put it in water for almost an hour, and it was perfectly fine. I mean, obviously it's not rated and waterproof like the iPhone is, or like even the Samsung phones are. Yeah. And that's a big bummer for me, being an almost $800 phone. But it's, as much as I wanted that, it's not a huge deal in most cases.
It really isn't a deal breaker. Because I come from the perspective of, I was watching the keynote when they introduced the iPhone 7 and thought, wow, waterproofing, that's fantastic. Yeah. And then I thought to myself, I have had iPhones for 5 or 6 years now, none of them have been waterproof, and none of them have come into contact with water. It's not that hard, is what I'm saying. I guess maybe some people are much more unlucky than I am, and those are the people that tend to buy OtterBox cases and that kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think the people that need the waterproofing on their phone are either going to shell out the money for a fancy case like a LifeProof or an OtterBox, you know, or they're going to wait or get a phone that has it.
Yeah.
You know, and most people that do that don't necessarily even need it for that matter, because what I would want it for is if for some crazy reason I'm like, you know, swimming at the ocean or something, I want to do some cool underwater pictures, and then I can use my phone instead of paying an extra $400 to get a GoPro or, you know, an action camera like that. So, but most people that are going to want that already have that action camera that is already waterproof.
Well, and that's the thing, like the people who really need a waterproof phone, and I can think of a couple of situations where you are in an employee, like your job requires you to have a waterproof phone, or you're a hobbyist that requires a waterproof phone. They're not really buying smartphones anyways. They're buying like highly ruggedized Nokias and stuff like that, because they're not, you know, checking Twitter while they're kayaking down a river or something like that.
You would hope.
Well, don't tweet and kayak, guys. There's your life advice.
Public service announcement.
Calling all platforms. Yep.
But
that was one of the things about the Pixel that people made the biggest outcry. Like, no waterproofing. Oh, what a horrible thing. And I'm sitting here having never dropped my phone in the toilet thinking, okay.
Yeah. And like the only reason I think people are complaining about it is because of the price tag. It's similar to an iPhone or a Galaxy phone, and those are both waterproof.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, what you get in a phone for the price is just as good, or depending on who you are, better, you know, and depending on the situation. Like, you know, I've been using both the 7 Plus and my phone, the Pixel XL cameras this weekend, trying to compare, and honestly, they're both fantastic. Obviously, the iPhone has always had a dang good camera on it. One thing I like about my camera better is it's a little bit quicker. It's, I mean, obviously, you're not going to be able to tell a difference unless you are using one right after the other, basically.
Okay,
But one thing I really like about it is burst mode. Google Photos, the way they did it is, like I did it the other day. My daughter was playing in some leaves. I took a burst mode picture, got 14 shots, and then it automatically turned it into a GIF.
Oh, that's
of her
nice.
throwing up leaves, and it was really cool.
That's actually pretty cool.
And like, it's one, like, I wish this is something Apple would do with the iPhone, because they have live photos, and it's basically a GIF.
Yep, it totally.
Because it's not a movie, it's not a picture, it's just there.
Yep.
But in order to turn it into a GIF, you have to download an app,
download a separate app,
transfer it into that app, export it out as a GIF or a .mov or, you know, something, and it's annoying.
That seemed like a missed opportunity to me. And I remember when I got my 5S originally and they introduced burst mode there, I was like, oh, this is fantastic. And I was taking those and I was like, oh, I could take all these pictures and slap them into Photoshop and make a GIF out of them. And then I thought, why can't I just do that from the camera app?
Exactly.
Like, it just seems like a missed opportunity. And I understand Apple relies a lot on the app, like the app developers, to make the phone platform something that is really desirable. And it works. Like, there are a lot of great apps out there that make up for stuff that Apple just doesn't really want to spend their time on, which is fine. But it does seem that occasionally there's stuff like that where I'm like, was it really that much harder to, like, just put it into your app, just a button that says, make these, you know, into a GIF? You already know that it's a burst mode, and you know that all of these pictures are associated. Just slap them all together. Like, come on.
And that's another cool thing, is I didn't have to ask for it to do it. I just looked into Google Photos and it was there. Like, it had the group of the burst mode photos right next to it. It had a Google thing, like a picture there that it's got a little icon that shows that it was done with the Google Photos Assistant. Is what they call it. And I clicked on it and it was just this GIF going, you know, and it was really cool.
Yep, that was pretty cool.
That's my short review so far of the Pixel XL. Oh, battery life, before we go on.
Right.
Fantastic. I had, on Friday, about 3.5 hours screen on time over 14 hours use. And that was heavy use. First day with the phone. I was downloading all my apps, setting it up. Oh, that's the other. No, we'll get back to that. Setting up is a breeze. But Saturday, I was on LTE the whole time, pretty much all day. And I had about 16 hours of battery life with 3.5 to 4 hours of screen on time, which is the best I've ever gotten on a phone, screen-wise. And yeah, battery so far is awesome. And I haven't tested this yet, but Google is saying you can get up to 7 hours of battery in a 15-minute charge. And I know it does charge fast. I've noticed that, but I haven't actually sat down and, pretty much watched it, basically.
Drain the thing and then...
And I have been draining it, but I haven't just watched it as I plug it in,
Yeah.
But going back to the setup, though, it comes with this little a USB-A to USB-C adapter that you just plug right into the phone and then hook your other phone up to it. And it works with any phone. They definitely advertised that, so to try to get iPhone people to switch. But and when I first thought, I was like, that's kind of cool, but I always back up my stuff and it just comes down automatically.
Right.
The one thing that doesn't happen when you do that is your SMS text messages in most cases. So I was like, well, this says it does, so I'll try it. Man, that was fast. Like, super easy. I just plugged my phone into it, and within minutes, everything was there, and set up screen-wise, settings, everything just there. Nice. It was the fastest setup I've ever done on a phone. Even on an iPhone. Like, my wife's phone, we always back it up to iTunes, because I hate iCloud with a passion. And
storage. Just give us more storage, Apple. Okay,
exactly.
Quick rant.
I just back it up to iTunes and then hook her new phone up, and it downloads pretty fast. And it was this was definitely the closest that Android has ever been to that.
Right.
And I didn't even have to. I think it was faster because I didn't have to plug it into a computer, back up the phone, unplug it, plug in another phone. It's just phone to phone, super fast, really easy, and it just simple. Like, you turn the phone on, and you do your basic, like, English language and stuff like that, and then it says, how do you want to back up, or how do you want to restore your phone? And you click on from another phone, and it just goes.
You just go. Cool.
Shows this cool little animation with 4 little stick figure type guys throwing, like, setting icons and picture icons and stuff to each other. It's kind of funny.
That is awesome.
It kind of sounds like the Age of Empires installation screen from, like, back in 1998.
Oh, you just blew my mind. Oh,
or 97,
wow.
Whenever that game came out.
That was amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's my mini review of the Pixel XL for having it for 3.5 days, 4 days almost.
Awesome.
So far it's a really good phone. I would definitely recommend it to anybody sitting on the fence on whether to buy it. It is pricey, obviously, but I read another review somewhere, and they were saying if you think it's an expensive phone, you think an iPhone's an expensive phone, or a Galaxy phone is an expensive phone. And I totally agree, because they are expensive phones. Yeah. But if you don't think about price, if you think, is this phone worthy to be the same price as an iPhone or a Galaxy phone? And yes, it definitely is.
Cool. Good stuff. So for all of you who are just coming off of the Galaxy Note 7, had to give that back.
Trade it in, get a Pixel. Pixel XL. It's a little bit smaller screen, but it's well worth it.
Are you tired?
And it won't explode.
Tired of explosions and phones? Well, we got a deal for you. Well, thanks, Landen, for that. Let's go ahead and we'll move on a little bit. Let's move on over to some Apple news.
Yes.
Okay,
so
I
think this is hilarious because we just barely got the confirmation last week that the date of Apple's event. And as soon as I saw that, I thought to myself, that's the day after Microsoft's. Like, it is the day after. And a couple of months ago, they moved the date of their earnings report forward a couple of days so that would come. And I think that's tomorrow, actually, that they're going to be doing that. But, we were all like, oh, does that mean that they're planning, because it was originally scheduled for the 27th, and we're all like, oh, does that mean they're going to be doing their event on the 27th? And as I recall, that was actually just shortly after Microsoft announced the date of their event for the 26th. So this is one of those, like, okay. It doesn't seem like tech companies could be more obvious about their motives, but yes, Apple wants to see what Microsoft is going to do before they do theirs. I would be willing to bet that the night of the 26th, there will be some frantic notes being added to keynote slides. And
Hey,
that kind of thing.
we know that Microsoft's like top of the line on their presentation and their stuff, especially the Xbox One reveal. That was, that was awesome, right?
There is a video that I have from many, many years ago, shortly after Bill Gates left Microsoft, of Steve Ballmer beginning a keynote presentation by running onto the stage, dancing to music, and screaming repeatedly over and over again. And then going up to the microphone and pointing to one side of the audience and going, whoa! And then pointing to the other side and going, whoa! And then everybody kind of laughs and the music dies down and everyone calms down and stuff. And he's standing next to the podium breathing heavily because Steve Ballmer's kind of a big guy.
Seems like he was going to die.
Right, yeah. He's just panting and then screaming, "Who told you could sit down?" And it was a great memory of Steve Ballmer that I will always cherish. Anyways.
Asking the crowd, anyone got a Diet Coke? I need a Diet Coke fix.
He was a fantastic man. Very entertaining. If nothing else, Steve Ballmer was hilarious. But yeah, so the 27th Apple event, and this is supposed to be new Macs. And oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Because the thing is, people want to say, well, Apple's been updating the Macs, especially the MacBook Pros, every year. Like, what are you complaining about? And I'm like, they have been making, like, really minor updates. And it seems like, as I recall, one of those updates was literally just coming out and saying, we soldered the RAM to the motherboard, and here's your new laptop. And that was pretty much it,
basically,
as I recall. The processors they're using, they're old. And yes, part of the problem is that Intel has been really screwy with their update cycles recently, and so that's caused them a headache, I'm sure. And we probably are not going to be getting Kaby Lake chips in the MacBooks they're announcing on the 27th. Probably be getting Skylake chips, which is fine. The Kaby Lake chips that are really capable of powering a professional laptop like a MacBook Pro, for instance, aren't out yet. So what are you going to do? So yeah, we'll probably be getting Skylake. Not that much difference, I expect. But yeah, it's just been a really long time coming. And holy cow, I'm excited.
I have a really bad feeling that they're not going to do a whole lot with the iMac. The invitation kind of hints at it with the hello again thing.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm very positive that there's going to be something with the MacBook Pro because there hasn't been anything for years.
It's been ages,
and it's definitely needed.
Yep.
But
the scary thing,
and the Mac Pro too.
The thing that worries me, so we're probably like almost guaranteed new MacBook Pros. Okay, 13-inch, 15-inch MacBook Pros. The rumor coming out of KG Quo Analytics, or whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah.
He's really solid though. Like, his information comes directly from the supply line. It's really good. He thinks they're going to be introducing a 13-inch MacBook instead of so they've got the 12-inch Retina MacBook that they introduced a couple of years ago. That's been the most recently updated.
Yes.
And so they probably won't update that, but he thinks they're going to release a 13-inch version that's probably just going to be a MacBook Air, so slightly thicker than the MacBook with more ports than the MacBook, hopefully.
You don't want
more than just the one,
You want Doso?
Hopefully not just a stupid crap mobile Intel chip. So hopefully, we'll be getting that as well. So that's what he's saying. He's also saying that there are updates for the iMac and what was it? The Mac Mini or the Mac Pro? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it was the Mac Pro.
Oh, really?
He thinks that there are updates in the pipeline for those, but that they're not going to be hitting shelves until the first quarter of next year.
That sounds about right.
So they may introduce them on the 27th. They may introduce them on the 27th. It's possible, but we're not really counting on it. And when they do introduce them, probably all it's going to be is updated processors, updated graphics cards. And yes, those things need to happen, but it would be kind of nice to maybe see a little bit of something happening in that lineup. Of course, I don't know. It wasn't that long ago that they made the entire line have Retina screens, so that's a pretty big update over what they used to be.
Very true. Now, what do you think about the rumored OLED bar?
I think it's a very Apple thing to do.
Now, quick.
just in case someone doesn't know what that is.
Okay, yes. So the rumor is that on the MacBook Pro, they're going to be putting an OLED screen across the top of the keyboard in place of the function keys. Where those are right now.
Bar.
Yes, a touch bar, touch-sensitive OLED screen that's going to go right there. And, the idea being that you can display your function keys like you have them right now, or you can have, context-sensitive information based on the app you're using or whatever you're doing on the PC, and maybe even dedicated apps that are specifically for that screen. There's actually a lot of possibility there. And it does seem like a very Apple thing for me because it doesn't make any sense to me right now. And most of the time when Apple comes out and says, here's this thing, when they introduced the iPhone, I'm kind of ashamed to admit this, but when they introduced the iPhone, I was all like, that's stupid. Why aren't you just focusing on your computers or give me a new iPod or something like that? But, what is that thing? It's dumb and it costs way too much money. Okay, no, it was actually a game changer and it was, a lot cheaper than they are now. Though, I don't know, based on inflation. But yeah, so I didn't get it at the time, and I don't get the OLED bar right now. Could you put predictive text on there? Yeah. Would that be better for anyone? I don't think so. You could put function keys up there, and fair enough, I can't actually touch type my function keys. I don't use them often enough. I have to make eye contact with my screen or my keyboard in order to hit those. So that wouldn't really be a downside for me, but what's the upside, I guess?
See, for me, the thing that excites me about it is I've experienced this on both Apple and Microsoft. Notifications popping up over top of what I'm doing on the screen.
That's true.
And in my last job, I did a lot with Photoshop and Illustrator, and it was constantly popping up, and it would get in the way of something I was doing, and it wouldn't go away. I couldn't just clear it. There was no at least on my Windows computer, there was no go away button. I just would stay there for about 5 seconds, and then it finally would go away. I would like that OLED bar to have notifications instead of on the computer.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, that's one use I hadn't actually thought of. I had thought that wouldn't it be fun if you could set up here's my favorite news app or something like that, and just constantly have headlines scrolling across the thing like they do at the bottom of the screen when you're watching the news on TV. Except in this case, if you see something that interests you, you can tap on it, opens it up in a web browser.
That would be fantastic.
And
that would be really cool.
Stuff like that, so I can see the potential for it as a professional feature on a professional laptop. Doesn't make as much sense to me, but, heck, on this 13-inch MacBook that they're supposed to be introducing, okay, yeah, perfect. It's a consumer feature that would make my browsing the internet and stuff like that a whole lot easier. But I do like the notification thing too.
I like the notification idea,
out of the way.
And also something like if you're using a music app like Spotify or Pandora or something, it'll show the song and a play pause button and a previous next.
Instead
just
of
little
having
icons
the
right there.
You get actual details of the song,
exactly,
and stuff.
And just something little for things like that are going on in the background that you don't necessarily want, like a little widget or something there all the time, or you don't want to have to go down to the bottom, open it, click on something, and then close it, or it's just quick, easy, right there, touch it, and ready to go.
Yep.
That would be fantastic. But I worry because we want these things, and the way Apple has been the past few years, they introduce these things that could be really cool, and eventually they are, but eventually they are. It'll be the case where they put it there, it does two things, you can turn on your function keys, turn them off, and maybe some notifications, and that's about it. And they won't release an API for it for 2 more years for apps to use it, and it'll just be a waste of space.
You say that's how Apple's been the past couple of years. That's kind of always how Apple's been, though. They introduce something, and you're like, boy, the possibilities of this are amazing. And then it takes them 3 or 4 or 5 years before it finally matches your expectations.
That is true. Kind of like the iPhone. They didn't have apps on the original iPhone.
It's true. No, it was just a phone. And that's one thing. You go back and use it, and you're all like, holy crap. There's no app store. There's 2 screens.
There's the phone.
Oh my gosh.
And there's music.
Yep. And Safari.
Yeah.
Which was better than anything else at the time. But it's horrible by today's standards.
Very, very much.
But yeah, no, it's a very Apple thing to do. And I think you're probably right. They're going to introduce it and give us 2 use cases where it makes sense. And we're going to be like, what about all this other great stuff? And they're going to be like, check back in 3 years.
Now,
Okay.
in Apple's defense, Google does similar things. Although Google will show you what it will do,
Right.
and then be
And then
like,
let
and
you
then when
sit
you
on it.
get it, well, we'll wait a month or two before it comes out. Kind of like with Google Home. Everyone that's getting them now is like they showed a whole bunch of stuff that it will be able to do within the next month or so, but right now, it's kind of limited.
Yep.
But
And Apple just did that though, but out today, iOS 10.1.
it's true.
Yeah.
Now you can
Now
finally
you can
use the
use
dual
the
camera
portrait
on the 7
mode.
Plus,
Yep.
and I am really excited to do that on my wife's phone. I
It's
haven't been able to
fantastic.
try it yet because she wouldn't let me put on the beta, and I don't blame her.
Yeah,
If it was
yeah,
my phone,
that's
I
fair.
would have been on there immediately.
Yeah. Hey, it's official now. It's out. So
It will be played with
Give it a shot.
this week.
All
But
right.
yeah, that's I'm excited for the event. I'm excited to see new hardware. I hope they announce new stuff for the iMac and especially the Mac Pro. That is the one place where I don't need that power. I don't. Like, by any stretch of the imagination, a 5K iMac is more than enough for everything that I do with it. And that's great for me. The workstation users kind of have been left in the dust because the Mac
Very
Pro
much
has
so.
not been updated since it was released.
And you can't
Yeah.
update it yourself.
Nope.
It's a garbage can, basically.
Yeah.
A shiny... I mean, I like the look of it, but
It looks really
it's a
good. It does
glorified
look
garbage
like a
can.
little trash can on your desk.
And, like,
Hilarious.
you can't get into it to replace things.
Yeah, it's like you can upgrade the RAM. So if you bought it with 6 gigs of RAM, you can upgrade it to 16 or 32 gigs of RAM and stuff. You can technically upgrade the processor, I think, but
It's not easy.
no, I wouldn't try that. The graphics cards are sitting right there, and they are user removable. It's not that difficult to pull them out, but they use a proprietary interface, so companies have to make specialized graphics cards for this thing. And I think AMD has released one since the original Fire Pros that came on the thing. There is an updated Fire Pro that you can pull the graphics cards out of a Mac Pro and slot those in, but that's it. Like, all of the customization that workstation users are accustomed to is not there. And they've really been left behind with that PC. And, at least update the thing so that it's got Thunderbolt 3 on it. Because if you do that, then people can plug an external graphics card into it, enclosure, and away you go. Customizable PCIe graphics card, whichever one you want.
Yeah, and for
And-
something as expensive as the Mac Pro, base price was
Really should have those
$2,000 basically.
options. Yeah.
It's you need to
lot
be
of money.
able to tweak it a little more.
Yep.
See, if it were me and I wanted something as powerful as that, I would just build my own computer and throw Mac OS on it.
Yeah. Well, I've tried that before. It's scary.
I know multiple people that have
Apple's-
done it.
It's possible.
You just have to have
Apple's
the right
drivers
hardware, which
are
yeah.
they're picky. But yeah, it's Apple touted the thing when it came out as, look at all of these Thunderbolt 2 ports on the back. You can expand as much as you want off of those. Great in theory, but nobody was supporting Thunderbolt 2 that way. A lot more people are supporting Thunderbolt 3 that way. So at the very least, you
Upgrade
have to
that.
give us Thunderbolt 3 because otherwise this thing is just, it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So
I read somewhere this week, and I hope it's not true, that they could be potentially just dropping the Mac Pro line just because they're trying to focus more on a average consumer type market with the MacBook, the new MacBooks, the MacBook Airs, like the minimal
Yeah.
ports, just something light, easy to carry around, easy to use, set up and go.
Yep.
Where a Mac Pro is definitely more for the prosumer
It
type
is.
person.
Yep. And, the fact of the matter is, everyone wants to talk about how it was the pro-level creatives who dragged Apple through its dark years in the 90s. And that's true. If they hadn't been buying Macs, nobody would have been buying Macs. And
Yeah.
Apple would have completely gone under, and they would have ceased to exist ages ago. So, yeah, they want to make that argument. But the fact of the matter is, they're not the ones that made Apple profitable. It was the average everyday. Once they introduced, here's an iMac. The I is for internet. This computer is entirely designed around getting a normal person onto the internet as fast and easily as possible. That was when they started making money. And the iPhone, the iPad, the iPod, all of those things have been, iterations on that same concept. Apple makes money when they make stuff for the everyday schmo. It's expensive, but it works.
Yes.
Out of the box, every time, easy. And the workstation users have been left in the dust, and that's kind of sad because I use a Mac professionally, and I don't want to get left in the dust.
Yeah.
But, hopefully they won't stop making iMacs anytime soon.
Well, I'm glad you had that. Before the last 10 minutes we've got here to wrap things up, what is the biggest thing you actually want to see at this event?
I want to see real graphics chips in the MacBook Pros. Like, okay, I understand that the 13-inch was never really about that. Don't put discrete chips in there, fine. Continue to use Intel's integrated graphics. The Iris Pro graphics are pretty good. But the 15-inch line of MacBook Pros needs some high-quality discrete graphics chips. And, there's been a lot of talk that they're going to be switching to use AMD's Polaris architecture on their graphics chips and these things, which is great. I hear that and I'm like, ooh, that's great. But then I hear all of these people that are all like, yeah, they're probably just going to use like the RX 480M, and I'm like, that's not a bad card. Like, it's all right, but it's not great either. Like there
Especially
are
in a new device,
right? Like there are devices, there are chips out there that use the Polaris architecture that are so much more powerful. And please just use those. Like, put a real graphics card into that thing. Make it meaty. Make it real. And then people will stop whining. Well, okay, no. They'll find something different to whine about. But,
there's always something to whine about.
That would literally break the internet if people stopped whining. So.
Yeah, that's true. So that's my one thing.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. So, figured for this last little bit, we just talk about the things that we're going to talk about next week. So
obviously, update on what happens at these events.
Yes.
Obviously, got the reminder of the Microsoft event, which is actually Microsoft is going to have, I heard, 3. Not. It's going to be, I think, the first one's going to be the hardware, which is the 26th, but also on November 2nd, they're going to do the kind of more the Office to see the new Office stuff and more enterprise and things like that, which will be really cool and exciting to see what they do. Because actually, one big thing that I thought was interesting, obviously, was they actually were rumored to buy Slack for a long time, but then they decided, they're like, well, let's try and obviously they had their own platform.
Link.
No,
is that what you're thinking of?
SharePoint.
Oh,
Yep. Yep. That's what it was. But I think that's one of the big things that they may be trying to be like, okay, because obviously everyone wants to compete with Slack right now, but that might be another big thing. And I can't remember the third one that's near what it's going to be, but excited for that. We're also excited to obviously the Apple. Get more information on that. Hopefully we get the graphics cards that we're wanting.
Please.
And then over in Google News, we're going to have the full review. Landen will give us a full review on his Pixel. And we'll kind of have more information on maybe a little more gaming news, maybe BlizzCon predictions.
I have many.
Oh, yeah. many predictions, honestly, for the games. Obviously, like Diablo 4, Overwatch, World of Warcraft, all Blizzard games. And maybe a little more information on the new Nintendo Switch. Kind of see what we think, any predictions we have, or any comments on that. So, anyway, anyone else have anything else they want to say?
I do have one more thing. I want to give a shout out. This past Sunday, October the 23rd, marked 15 years since the original iPod was introduced. And I don't really have much else to say about that. The iPod line in Apple is pretty much dead. If they update anything, it'll be the iPod Touch, which is just an iPhone without a cell modem in it. But it was a game-changing device. It was cool. I had many iPods, and I miss you, buddy. Peace.
Without the iPod, I don't think our phones would not be the same.
It's probably true.
Obviously, I think the iMac is what initially saved Apple, but the iPod is what fully saved Apple.
Yep.
And I wish I would have had a little bit of stock and money right before they announced.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Because
rich.
Because I remember I was working at Best Buy at the time, and I remember, Apple, or they had the iPods there, and I was like, this seems okay. I mean, I've got a MP3 player. This is when you download 2,000 songs on your desktop. And you're like, I don't need a mobile thing. I got to go. Yeah. I can burn it to CD and go. And I was like, whatever. And then a month later, it's just exploding, and I'm like, the stock quadrupled.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Huge.
oh, why didn't I invest? That sucked.
It was a game-changing device.
Definitely.
And it was responsible, I think, in large part for making people accept the iPhone when it came out, because it was approachable. My first iPod was a shuffle. It cost $50. You know, it was not an expensive iPod, and it worked really darn well. And I'm not sure where it is, but if I did know where it was, it would probably still be working. So it was a fantastic little device, and that was the first piece of Apple hardware I ever owned. I had never owned anything Apple before that iPod Shuffle. I had the iPod Shuffle, upgraded to an iPod Nano, and then when I got a desktop computer after that, it was a Power Mac. And then, you know, I got a laptop years later, it was a MacBook Pro, and now iPhones and iPads and iMacs, and I'm just all in on the whole ecosystem. So,
see, and that's what initially got me into Apple back in the day was I didn't have an iPod before I bought any. Well, I bought my MacBook, and it came with a free iPod.
There you go. Yep.
And that was one thing that got me to get that wanted me to get the MacBook. It was like, oh, sweet, I can get a free iPod.
Yeah.
Because at that point, iPod had been out for a couple years. It was the video, the iPod video, the 30 gig, one of the first color screens, and I could actually watch a movie on that tiny 2-inch screen, and it was fantastic. I loved that thing in the car. Yep. I would watch movies all the time.
Mission Impossible 3. I watched the entirety of Mission Impossible 3 on a 2-inch iPod video screen.
Very nice.
Right before the battery
Fantastic. Always.
Almost there. Credits dead. All right. Well, thanks guys for listening, and please tune in next week for all the stuff that we will be talking about, and we'll see you later.
Bye.
See ya.